Hi everyone, so in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to crochet these really cute pixie bonnets with all of this pretty stitch work and then the shell edging around the top. So these bonnets can be made to any size, so from newborn all the way up to an adult size, and instructions on how to make them to any size are included in the tutorial and the written pattern, and there is a link to the written pattern in the description box below this video. So thank you very much for watching, and please make sure to subscribe to my channel for more crochet videos. So you want to start off by making a slip knot. So to do a slip knot, take your yarn and take your finger and wrap the yarn around your finger once and then twice. Then take the first loop and pull it over the second loop, and then take the second loop and pull it all the way over your finger. You then want to take your crochet hook, go in through this space and pull tight. And there we have a slip knot. And now once you have your slip knot, you now want to make your foundation chain. And you can make your foundation chain as long or as short as you like, but the length of your chain will depend on how big you want your bonnet to be. So to work out how many chains you need to do, you want to take a tape measure and place it underneath the chin of the person who you are making your bonnet for. And then you want to take your tape measure up over the top of the head and back down and meet where you started underneath the chin. And then you want to make a chain up to that length or up to that measurement. So here I have a little diagram that I have made of a head. So you would start underneath here, underneath the chin with your tape measure, and then you'll go up over the top of the head and back down and meet where you started underneath the chin. And then you want to take that measurement and make your chain up to that length. And your foundation chain must be a multiple of 6. So you can chain 36, 60, 66, 72. It's completely up to you. Just make a foundation chain that is a multiple of 6 up to the measurement that you have taken. And you can use whatever size yarn and hook that you like. So if you want a nice lightweight bonnet like I have done, then you can use a 4mm crochet hook and DK weight yarn. Or if you wanted a chunky bonnet, then you could use, say, a 6mm hook and chunky yarn. It's completely up to you. So make your foundation chain. So I have finished making my foundation chain, and for the sake of this tutorial I'm just going to make a tiny little bonnet. So I only chained 48, but like I said, you can chain whatever number you like as long as it is a multiple of 6. And now we can move on to round 1. So to begin this round, you want to chain 2 on top of your foundation chain. So you want to chain 1 and 2. So you should now have a multiple of 6 plus 2. And now we are going to start off by working one single crochet into the second chain from the hook. So here is the first chain from the hook, and here is the second chain. And you want to go into this chain, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through both loops on your hook. So there we have one single crochet into that chain. And now we're going to chain 2. So you want to chain 1 and 2. And now we're going to skip the next 2 chains. So skip the next one here and the next one. And then into the next chain, we're going to do a double crochet. So yarn over, go down into this chain. So remember, we're skipping these 2 here, and then yarn over, go into this next chain, and yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and then yarn over and pull through the final 2 loops on your hook like that. So there we have done a double crochet into that one, and now we're going to chain 2 again. So chain 1 and 2, and then skip the next 2 chains. So skip this one and this one, and then into the next chain, we're going to do another single crochet. So we have done chain 2, skip 2 chains, And now into the next chain, go into this chain and do 1 single crochet, and then chain 2, skip the next 2 chains, 1 and 2, and do a double crochet into the next one. And then chain 2 again, 1 and 2, and skip the next 2 chains, skip 1 and 2, and we're going to keep repeating that all the way along for round 1. So we're going to keep working single crochet, chain 2, skip the next 2 chains, double crochet, chain 2, skip the next 2 chains, all the way down our chain, and the number of repeats that you need to do will depend on how long your foundation chain is. So the longer your chain is, the more repeats you will need to do. So we're going to do a single crochet into the next chain. So remember, we're skipping these 2 here, so do a single crochet into the next one, then chain 1 and 2, and skip the next 2 chains, so skip 1 and 2, and then do a double crochet into the next, chain 2, and skip the next 2 chains, 1 and 2, and keep repeating that for round 1. Single crochet, chain 2, skip 2, double crochet, chain 2, skip 2. So I'm just coming to the end of round 1, so I have repeated that all the way along, and I have finished off by working double crochet, chain 2, skip the next 2 chains, and now we're going to finish off by working 1 single crochet into the last chain at the very end. So finish off by working 1 single crochet at the end. And there we have finished round 1, and this is what you should have, and the length of your work here will depend on how many chains you made. And now we can move on to round 2. So to begin this round, you want to chain 1 and turn, and this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. And we're going to start off by working 1 double crochet into the very first stitch. So you want to go into this first stitch here. So this is the last single crochet from last round. So yarn over and go down into this stitch and work 1 double crochet like that. And now we are going to skip these chains. So we're going to skip the chain 2, and we're going to move straight on to this next double crochet here, and into this double crochet from last round we're going to work our first cluster. So throughout our bonnet we're going to work lots of clusters, and whenever we work one we're going to do the same thing. We're going to work 3 double crochets together, chain 3, and then 3 double crochets together, all into the same stitch. So you want to yarn over and go down into this stitch, into the double crochet, and yarn over and pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops, just as you would with a normal double crochet. But you do not want to complete this double crochet. You want to stop here and leave it incomplete and move on to the next one. So yarn over, go back down into the same stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So there we have started a second double crochet, but you do not want to complete this one either and move on to the third one. So yarn over, go down into the same stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops. And there we have 3 incomplete double crochets, and you should have 4 loops on your hook, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you want to yarn over and pull through all 4 loops. And there we have worked 3 double crochets together. And you now want to chain 3, so chain 1, 2 and 3, and then we're going to go back down into the same stitch, so into the same double crochet, and work another set of 3 double crochets together. So yarn over, go into the stitch and work 1 incomplete double crochet, and then work a second one into the same stitch and a third, like that. And now you want to yarn over and go through all 4 loops, so like that. So there we have done another set of 3 double crochets together, and we have completed our first cluster. So we have done 3 double crochets together, chain 3 and then 3 double crochets together, all into the same stitch. And now what we're going to do is we're going to skip our next chain 2 from last round here and move on to this next single crochet, and we're going to do 1 double crochet into the single crochet. So yarn over, go down into the stitch from last round and work 1 double crochet. And now we're going to skip our next little chain 2 here and move on to the next double crochet from last round. And into this double crochet we're going to do another cluster. So just in the same way as we just did, you want to do 3 double crochets together, chain 3, 3 double crochets together, all into the same stitch. So like that. So there we have another cluster into that stitch, and now we're going to skip our next chain 2, and into this next single crochet we're going to work 1 double crochet, and then you want to skip the next chain 2 and then into the next double crochet work another cluster. So in the same way as we have done before, 3 double crochets together, chain 3, 3 double crochets together, and we're just going to keep repeating that all the way along for round 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep doing cluster double crochet all the way along, and you should find that you always work your clusters into the double crochets from last round, and that you always work your double crochets into the single crochets from last round. And you should find that you finish off by working a double crochet into this last stitch or this last single crochet at the end. So keep repeating cluster double crochet all the way along. And remember, whenever you work a cluster, work 3 double crochets together, chain 3 and then 3 double crochets together, all into the same stitch. So there I have finished working that all the way along for round 2, and like I said, you should find that you finish off by working a double crochet into the last stitch at the end. And now we can move on to round 3. So this is a nice easy round, and to begin it you want to start off by chaining 1 and turning, and that chain 1 does not count as a stitch, and we are going to go down into this first stitch here and work 1 double crochet. So yarn over, go down into the first stitch and work 1 double crochet, and now you want to chain 2, so chain 1 and 2, and we are going to go straight into this chain 3 space from last round here. So this is the chain 3 space of our last cluster from last round, and we're going to go into this chain 3 space and work a single crochet. So work 1 single crochet into that space, and now you want to chain 2 again. So chain 1 and 2. And now we're going to move on to our next double crochet from last round. So that is here. So in between these 2 clusters, we have this double crochet, and we're going to yarn over and go into the double crochet and work 1 double crochet like that. And now you want to chain 2 again, and then we're going to go to our next chain 3 space and go into the space and work a single crochet, and then chain 2, and then go to our next double crochet and work a double crochet into this stitch like that. So there we have a double crochet into that double crochet, and we're going to keep repeating this all the way along for round 3. We're going to do chain 2, and then we're going to do a single crochet into the chain 3 space, then chain 2, and then do a double crochet into the double crochet, and then do that again, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, double crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, double crochet, and keep repeating that all the way along for round 3. And the longer your work is, so the longer your foundation chain was, the more repeats you will have to do. So just keep repeating that, and just make sure that whenever you work a single crochet, that you're working it into the chain 3 space from last round. So here and here and here, and that whenever you work a double crochet, that you're working it into the double crochet from last round. So here and here and here and here, and keep doing that all the way along. So I have finished working that all the way along for round 3, and I have finished off with a double crochet into my last stitch at the end there. And now we can move on to round 4. So to begin this round, you want to chain 1 and turn, and this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. And we're going to start off by going down into this first stitch here, so into this first double crochet, and work 1 double crochet. So yarn over, go down into the double crochet and work a double crochet like that. And now we're going to chain 2, so chain 1 and 2, and then we're going to go back down into the same stitch and work 3 double crochets together. So we have done this lots of times before in our clusters, so we're going to do 3 incomplete double crochets, and you should have 4 loops on your hook, and yarn over and pull through all 4 loops like that. So there we have done double crochet, chain 2, and then 3 double crochets together, all into that first stitch to start. And now we're going to move on to our single crochet here from last round. So our first single crochet, and we're going to work a double crochet into this stitch. So yarn over, go into the stitch and do 1 double crochet. And now we're going to move on to our next double crochet here. So skip the chains and go to the next double crochet, and we're going to work a cluster. So just as we did before in round 2. So we are going to do 3 double crochets together, chain 3, 3 double crochets together, all into the same stitch for a cluster. So work that into this double crochet here. So like that, so there we have a cluster into that stitch. And now we're going to yarn over, skip the next chain 2 and go into this next single crochet here and do 1 double crochet. So do 1 double crochet into this stitch, and now we're going to skip the next chain 2 and go into this next stitch here. So this is another double crochet, and we're going to go into this one and do a cluster, so 3 double crochets together, chain 3, and then 3 double crochets together, all into the same stitch like that. And now we're going to do a double crochet into this next stitch, into this next single crochet, and we're going to keep repeating cluster double crochet all the way along for round 4. And you should find that whenever you work a cluster, you're doing it into your double crochets from last round, and then whenever you work a double crochet, that you're working it into the single crochets from last round. So keep repeating cluster double crochet all the way along. So I'm just coming to the end of round 4, so I have done cluster double crochet, and you should find that you have 1 stitch at the very end left here, and we're going to finish off by doing 3 double crochets together. So do 3 double crochets together into this stitch, and then chain 2, and then work 1 double crochet down into this stitch. So we're doing the same thing as we did at the very start, but we are just reversing those stitches. So we have done 3 double crochets together, chain 2, and then 1 double crochet all into that last stitch at the end. So there we have finished round 4, and now we can move on to round 5, which is another nice easy round. So chain 1 and turn to start, and this does not count as a stitch. And then you want to do 1 single crochet into this first stitch here. So this is the double crochet at the end of last round. And now you want to chain 2, and we're going to move on to our first double crochet. So in between these clusters we have a double crochet, and we're going to yarn over, go into the double crochet and do 1 double crochet, and then you want to chain 2, go into the chain 3 space and do 1 single crochet, and then chain 2 and go to the next double crochet and do 1 double crochet. And we're going to keep repeating chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, double crochet all the way along for round 5. So it's the same thing as we have done before. So we're going to do our single crochets into our chain 3 space, so here and here and here, and then we're going to do our double crochets into the double crochets from last round, so here, here and here. So simply chain 2, work 1 single crochet into the chain 3 space, then chain 2 and work 1 double crochet into the double crochet, and keep doing that all the way along. So I'm just coming to the end of round 5, so I have finished off with a double crochet here. So I did chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, double crochet, and we're going to finish off this round by chaining 2 and then doing 1 single crochet into this last stitch at the end. So into this very last stitch at the end of the round here, okay, into this one, oops, and do 1 single crochet. So you're working that into the double crochet that was worked at the start of last round. So there we have finished round 5. So now once you have finished working that all the way along for round 5, the rest of our bonnet is really easy. We're just going to repeat rounds 2 through to 5, so 2, 3, 4 and 5, again and again and again until you have the length bonnet that you like. You can repeat those rounds as many times as you want to. So for this bonnet here, this little blue one, which is newborn size, I did 2.5 repeats of those rounds. And for this green one, which is size 6 to 12 months, around about there, I did 3 to 4 repeats of those rounds. But you can do as many repeats as you like, and I would definitely recommend finishing off on around 2 or around 4, because that way you get this really pretty shell stitch edging around the top. And to work out how many repeats you need to do, you can have a look at your work by folding your work in half along the foundation chain. So our long strip here is going to turn into a bonnet shape by being folded in half along the foundation chain at the back. And then we are going to sew it up along the back. So it's going to be sewn up along the back here. So what we're doing now is we're just adding the length or the depth to our bonnet. So we have already established a size with our foundation chain, which goes all the way around the head, but we are now just doing the depth of our bonnet. And you can do as many repeats as you like, and a good way to work out how many repeats to do is if you have a hat in the size that you want your bonnet to be, then you can place it onto your work, and when your bonnet matches the size of that hat, you know you have done enough repeats. Or if you have the person who you're making your bonnet for available, then you can just measure it up against the side of their head. So just keep repeating rounds 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, again and again until you have the size bonnet that you like. And you can do as many repeats as you want to. And you can go back in the tutorial and rewatch those rounds as many times as you need to. Or if you have the written pattern, they're all written out nice and clearly on there. And there is a link to the written pattern in the description box below this video. And then once you have finished working those rounds, you now want to sew up your bonnet along the back. And we are going to use a yarn needle and the whip stitch. So I'm going to sew up this little strip here along the back, and I haven't done any repeats as I just made this teeny tiny bonnet for the sake of this tutorial. But you want to sew yours up once you have done your repeats, because it makes it a lot easier to work in a long strip rather than working on a bonnet which has already been sewn up. So you want to take your work and fold it in half along the back here, along the foundation chain. So this is our foundation chain, and line it all up. And if you left a long end when you made your slip knot, then you can use this to sew up the bonnet. So that's what I'm going to do. But if not, just take another long piece of yarn in the same colour and thread it through your needle. But I'm going to thread my end through the needle. And then we're going to come here into the opposite side and go through like that and pull our yarn through. And with the whip stitch, we always come through to the same side. So we always go through the same side here and go in through the next stitch and through the same stitch on the opposite side and pull it through. And then we're going to come back around to the same side again, and then we're going to come back around to the same side, go in through the next stitch and the same stitch on the opposite side and go through both stitches. Then we're going to come back around to the same side, go in through the next stitch and the same one on the opposite side, so it should be lined up perfectly, and pull it through, and then come through back round to this side, go in through the next stitch and the same stitch on the opposite side and pull it through, and just keep doing that all the way along until you reach the top. So then once you have gone all the way up to the top, this is what you should have. So we have sewn our bonnet together at the back, and once you reach the very top, you want to weave that end nice and securely into the inside, and then you can also weave in any other ends that you have. And then the last thing that you need to do is add your ties. And what I just did was I just made a chain to the length that I wanted. So where I finished off at the end of my last repeat, I just made a nice neat chain, and I chained about 100, but you can chain as much as you like. And then you can either fasten off once you get to the end of your chain, or if you wanted to make it really neat, you can work single crochets or slip stitches back down your chain and then weave that end in nice and securely. But I just fastened off once I got to the end of my chain, and then I just tied a couple of knots to secure that, and then I did the exact same thing on the opposite side. So I attached my yarn down the bottom here, made the same chain, fastened off, and then tied a little knot, and then I weaved those ends in nice and securely into the inside of my bonnet, and I have finished. And there we have our little pixie bonnet. So that is it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it and found it easy to follow. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel for more crochet videos. And in the description box below this video, I will leave a link to the written pattern. And I will also leave links in the description box to my Instagram and Twitter accounts. So I always like to post updates and pictures on there, especially Instagram. And I would love to see photos of your crochet work on there as well. And thank you again for watching. Bye.